Day2, DRG, SpeCial, ByuN, RagnaroK, Hurricane, GSL Season 1, Code A. Africa TV Freak Up Studio Live. LG Ultra Gear and Hot 6 2021 GSL Season 1.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to day 2 of the GSL Code A. That's right, Code A is back. If you're just now joining us for the first time, and we've got some great games coming up tonight.
Oh, yes, indeed we do. First up is probably my most excited match of the night, DRG against SpeCial. Who do you even root for?
You root for SpeCial. That's an easy.
Oh, okay.
That's the only right answer here.
DRG's the oldest pro, though, in StarCraft.
That is true, and we are old people, so maybe I was wrong. But personally, I'm rooting for SpeCial. I think he's been improving a lot. I'm excited to see him play. Obviously, with coronavirus, we don't have a lot of foreign representation here in our global StarCraft league. So
not a lot.
SpeCial's keeping that going for us down here. We also have Code A again, one more day, and then we'll be going into Code S. So we had a little bit of a format change here, but not just format. We've changed entirely the days of GSL as well. We are now Monday nights and Thursday nights at 6:30 p.m. KST. In case you're confused, we were never those nights before.
Yes.
So if you're a fan and you like watching live, there's going to be some moving around here in your schedule you're going to have to do. And this is going to be our schedule indefinitely here in the future.
Yeah.
So this is not a switch where, you know, we had something in the studio, we had to move stuff around. It will permanently be like this.
Well, moving on from that, here's who we have so far. We have the 4 seeds, which 4 are from the qualifier and 4 are from the last GSL Super Tournament. From Code A to Code S, day 1, we had TY Maru and SOS. No big surprises there getting through. Look at that golden racial distribution, 4-4-3. David Kim, thank you.
His spirit lives on.
He is killing it still to this day.
And it's good to be back here doing our long-form tournaments like we usually do in the year. I know we had a super tournament early on, and of course that was a lot of fun. But I do think at the very core of StarCraft, you gotta have these long, drawn-out tournaments that take weeks, even months to complete.
You better believe it, Tasteless. Weekends, those are for rest.
That's
Mondays and Thursdays, those are for StarCraft.
We've also got Cure versus ByuN and RagnaroK versus Hurricane, so it's going to be a great night overall.
Yeah, I think the RagnaroK Hurricane match should be really, really interesting. I'm not sure how that one's going to go down.
I'm also wondering about Cure versus ByuN. We know that ByuN has been one of our players with some injuries, I believe in his wrist or forearm.
Well, yeah,
and I don't know what condition he's in now. I know we have a couple other players like Flash who have been suffering from some pain as well. So, yeah, I mean, let's see how he does today.
Indeed. All right, so DRG, this is our oldest player in GSL. To put this in perspective, guys, he's older right now than Nesty was when he was playing. Okay,
Think about that.
Yeah, because he made the top 4 in Code S last year, that was a very exciting moment because he would have made that new record over Nesty. It's like, are we ever going to have a StarCraft champion older than how old Nesty was when he won his championships?
And to go back, because I know we've had people that have been following since the beginning, but not everybody. Some people might not even really remember Nesty. But yeah, he was a big deal back then because he was so old, and the fact that we're surpassing that now is crazy. Up against him is SpeCial, who is looking amazing.
Yeah, this guy has just undergone a complete transformation. Everyone should send him some love for the hard work he has done.
Yeah.
Looking healthier. I've known him for just years and years and years and years and years, and he looks great, man. The best he's ever looked. And his Terran, not half bad either.
That's right. And so let's see what happens here. I mean, SpeCial is one of these players who is always going to be able to beat anybody.
Yeah.
I feel like this is actually maybe a harder match to call.
Oh, it's a hard one for sure. DRG, his ZVT when he gets going, looks amazing. He's out macros innovation after losing his fourth.
He's got some jaw-dropping ZVT special, very good at getting in your face, very good at pushes, very good at drops and harass. And we're actually ready. We're going to start this off on Death or at Game 1 in this best of 5 in Code A, DRG versus SpeCial.
2021 GSL Season 1.
We stood at the edge of the world, seize the stakes. They're living a life like
Team NV, DRG. Team Exxon, SpeCial.
Team Exxon, as they show the oil spill water around the command center.
Just Zergling's covered in oil dying off.
Yeah. Marines over there with rubber gloves trying to scrub them clean.
A Terran commander apologizing profusely.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, it looks like they're pretty even in Legacy of the Void, but I mean that's a long period of time, man. That's like 6 years of stats at 3-3.
Yeah, Legacy has been out for so much longer than the other expansions that, I mean, it's cool to see stats. I'm surprised they've actually played that few times.
DRG did have a period of inactivity in there due to the military and everything, so
he
that
did have a hiatus. But I don't know if the stats are really going to tell the whole story. I think we're going to have a much better idea when we see them duke it out here.
Actually, Tasteless, I feel like the story was told with that 3-3, and I'm pretty done with this cast right now. No, but DRG, some of his macro ZVTs last year looked basically better than anyone's, but he also had some flubs. Like, if you recall, he had basically every time he got Widowmine dropped, it was the worst defense that we've ever seen. It was like a broken PC trying to deal with it, but like worse. It was actually very shocking because so many other parts of his play were really good, but literally every time people went Widowmine drop against him, he was just ravaged. He was destroyed. Like, all his drones died, all his lings died. He pulled everything in the wrong directions for maximum splash. It was just crazy. But when that's not the case, he has looked really, really deadly. The one game that really sticks out in my mind, I want to remember, I think it might have been Pillars of Gold, where he lost his 4th base to Innovation and then just out-macroed him and killed him.
Oh, yeah,
and it was like,
in a situation that we just don't ever really see at all.
When
where,
Inno
like,
kills your 4th, the game is over. That's like how he wins.
99.9% of his games, yeah, but it's kind of wild to see, you know, in what looks almost like an arm wrestling match over time, right? To see Innovation get the leg up and then get pushed back and beaten is something else.
Well, looks like SpeCial going for a very quick 3rd CC in the main base, making some Hellions. I'm very interested to see if he's going to like go pure Hellion or if he will go into those mines. You know, I know that SpeCial prepped for this match pretty well, and I'm sure DRG has improved his play against mine drops since last time we saw him against mine drops. So I don't want to say that's the way to kill him, but it could be helpful.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. We've got the 2 Hellions coming out. This may be a little bit of a slower game to start things off here. I mean, there's not a whole lot that SpeCial can really do for the time being. Try to attack out here. We've got the Viking that's going to come and try to clear off some Overlords. Zerg going to be droning up on the 3rd, aggressively pushing out creep.
A lot of queens being made here from DRG. No big surprise there. It's kind of heavily droning still as well. Yeah, nothing too peculiar about this game.
Okay, so we've got the Viking coming out here, clearing out these Overlords. Stim is coming down now as well. Double barracks. This is usually, the quiet time into TVZ. So we sort of wait for things to really build up. Nobody really took any risks this early, which I didn't think we really expected from either of them. I don't know if DRG is going to do a rush in one of these potentially 5 games, but I definitely was not expecting SpeCial to do anything super tricky at all. I mean, SpeCial does tend to lead on the spectrum of Terran play, more towards the textbook conservative style.
Yeah.
He is wild when it comes to his drop and his drops and his pushes, but
Yeah, his multitasking gets very, very good.
he's not the guy I think we would all default into thinking of, barracks in the middle of the map over and over or anything
certainly.
like that.
You're definitely right about that. When he does a cheesy early game build, a lot of times it's very, very technical.
Yeah.
Things like, yeah, I remember sometimes he's gone for moves like Ghost Hellbat type things where he's sniping queens and trying to use the Hellbats to do that damage. Now, we do have an armory coming up, so there's definitely going to be some Hell Battery. Has that stim upgrade just about to finish as well.
And here we go. Stim is about to finish up here. Looks like we're going to have a small push move out here at the top. We're not watching it, but
That was a really hilarious
that was my
battle.
If you really want to show somebody why StarCraft 2 is a good game, show them that.
Very much
This
so.
weird moment. So it's going to be the Hellbats and the drop coming up here.
Now this is pretty high economy behind this, so this isn't that much of an all-in. Let's see how well this does. Like the 2 medevacs, this many Marines with stim, that many Hellbats. This could be scary.
Yeah, well the Zerglings are going to have a hard time getting a good angle. The Banelings are going to come in. The infantry are picked up. You really just want the Hellbats to try to soak the damage from the Banes, and they did. Only 1 Baneling left, but the push is over.
Yeah, he really didn't do much of anything there. He had enough Banes ready. If you don't have those Banes already morphed, definitely some more damage can be dealt, but that's it for that. I mean, you can fly around as SpeCial and try to find a place to maybe clear some creep or something, but it's all right. It's not one of these builds where you see someone do that off of 2 command centers, and then it's like, okay, well, you're in trouble. He landed his 3rd. It was already mining. His upgrades actually started at the same time as DRG's. So, yeah, he's fine. He didn't have too much time of map control with the Hellions, but I guess he just has to make up for that now with some good creep clearing.
Okay, a Stim comes in, gets 1 kill on the Queen here. The Lings are going to be able to get us around, so he has to pick up and move away. I don't know if he's going to actually dive in here to the main. That would seem ill-advised. I'm sure there would be Queens ready there. But all in all, SpeCial right now on 3 bases, looking strong. DRG with good defense, holding off everything. Really, DRG hasn't taken any major damage, but in truth, neither has SpeCial. I mean, the Hellbats were expendable. It's fine to trade them into Banelings. What you want to watch for is not to lose an absurd amount of Marines or to lose medevacs in a moment like this. So it's still pretty neck and neck.
Bringing up a lot more Marines and a mine here as well. Clearing some of this creep, very importantly. Ooh, pretty good connections on the Banelings, to be honest. Comes in here with that scan, picking off what creep tumors that he can.
Okay, he's doing a pretty good job here. Another great pickup here by SpeCial, backing out now.
Yeah, decent mine hit as well.
Yeah, pretty good here. Looks like Terran may be taking the 4th base down here at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Our monitor's pretty small. There's actually nothing down there at all.
Oh, no, he's building the command center next to it, though.
Okay.
So you are right.
I was right. I just wasn't right for the reason that I thought I was.
You know, every time you correct yourself, you were actually right. And every time you don't, you were actually wrong.
Okay, this is the problem with my casting.
So just correct yourself more often, and people are going to be like, damn, like, Tasteless has no confidence, but he's always right. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, another push coming out here. Now, we're getting to the point where Zerg is going to start taking bases that are actually punishable. For instance, this one that's closer here to the top right, we're seeing some movement there already. But for now, DRG has pretty much been a wall. I mean, it hasn't been much progress here by SpeCial. The fights are trading pretty evenly.
You know, DRG taking this 5th, like, SpeCial hasn't been able to keep too much pressure on. He hasn't really stopped or even very much slowed the creep spread. So I find these to be some issues. You know, DRG has gone into the Hydralisk Den, and he is getting some upgrades there, but going towards Lurker. So it's like, it's kind of Ling Bane into Lurker. And as these supplies go up a little bit, I could see SpeCial starting to get a little bit of damage. It can be a little bit tough to switch into Lurker and hold everything, because you don't really have anything to tank for that, right?
Right.
You have a bunch of, like, really high damage units that that can die easily. So let's see how this goes for him.
Another push coming up. And there's Banes, but maybe not enough. With the Widow Mine, the 2 Marauders up here in the front, if he could pull away correctly, kind of takes a little bit too much damage there. Going to try to dive in, take out those Banes here. A little bit of a sloppy attack here by SpeCial.
Yeah, he gets a couple morphing lurkers. The Lings just continue to go across. Both sides about to get 2-2. Finally, Drilling Claw is coming up, and there are 2 factories. So we see mines and tanks being created. But that hive is about to finish, so we should see some Vipers coming out.
Yeah. Getting that higher tech, something that he can actually use to try to address some of the stuff that's going to be coming here as well. It should be noted that SpeCial didn't lean into tanks really for the push. It's a different way of playing the game. It was a lot more Widow Mines, Marauders, and Marines, which it can be a little bit more flexible for setting up positions, but at the same time, when you do get that position, it's not as the punishment is not as pronounced sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think when people go like Ling Bane, I generally like the style that he shows against that a little bit more. But he is adding some tanks now, which I think can be a very smart move to utilize against the more heavy lurker play. But I'm interested to see if he goes like mass tank from here.
Yeah, I think the switch might be welcome. We'll see, though. I mean, the thing about setting up tanks, you got to push the creep back. Damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like a hand sticking out of the ground to grab medevacs.
He's got a Simpson hand
It's
right
got a
there.
Simpson hand coming out of the ground.
The Simpson spores. All right,
Now
well.
thumbless.
Yeah. He's stimming forward here. No Banelings up there quite yet. Gets rid of a couple of the, well, it didn't really do that much damage, you know? Like, he's flying around, but mostly just trading for, like, Lings. Obviously, he kills a couple spores in there and everything,
Yeah.
but he hasn't done any damage to the economy of DRG, like, at all this game.
Yeah, he's taken some okay fights, but you're right. I mean, basically, DRG, if you look at the map, has pushed out further and further. He's continuing to grow, and he's not really getting prevented in any way. I mean, maybe this hatchery's killed here, but in reality, nothing is really happening that's curbing the progress here of the Zerg. And I'm getting worried here for SpeCial because, you know, if he's not going to stop DRG pretty soon, DRG is going to be the one actually pushing into SpeCial's few bases. Zerg basically, if the game goes on indefinitely, tend to get more bases than the Terran. We do have some games where it's split play, like we've seen TY pull it off, but it's not as common. Like, it's harder to imagine a Terran controlling the lower left side of the map here, where the Zerg taking the upper right is pretty feasible.
He is headed towards that, though. He has 4 command centers being made. Ghost Academy, right? Getting all these different upgrades, even enhanced shockwaves here for the Ghost. He knows Vipers are coming. And the thing is, I don't think he has too much choice. The creep spread has gone pretty much wild the whole game, right? Like, he's slowed it a little bit a couple times, but not very aggressively because he didn't really utilize his Hellions like that. He went for a Hellbat push, it didn't do much. And now DRG has this massive economy, great upgrades, hive tech. So what can you do as SpeCial here? It's not like he has a push that can go across the map and kill this.
Okay, another push out here. The Hydra's actually chasing these Marines down. He's done a decent job of avoiding the actual Baneling connections. But with Lurkers here, there's Broodlings now out. Actually, 10 more Lurkers on the way, by the way. This is where the Zerg army really does start to get more sophisticated. They can actually hold certain areas instead of just trying to chase the Terran until the Terran gets to a safe distance. So here we go, the Lurkers burrow. And this area right now is essentially impregnable here for the Terran. When the Lurkers burrow there's not a whole lot you can do to deal with it. Now DRG going to open up this avenue on the map. And let's see where he actually attacks into here.
Well, he's just going to try to push all of this back for the time being. There are some siege tanks up here. And as he runs back between some walls and whatnot, you do have to turn around as DRG.
Harpooning the tanks, pulling them into the Lurkers, taking out another tank down here.
And just DRG, I mean, he's being like a little bit sloppy with it, but he is getting that damage on. He's got that gigantic economy right now.
Just wild, hitting the
wow, he actually will
CC
break it,
again.
yeah.
Now this is huge because now we have the, like, I guess in my head I think of it as like the quadrant problem for the Terran. If the Terran's stuck in just 1/4 of the map and they can't grow out of it, and this is unique to what happens to Terrans. You see it in TVP as well, where they basically get that 1/4 of the map and can't grow any further. And even though we saw the tech there that SpeCial tried to get to, he didn't have the position.
Yeah, it can be pretty tough for them to defend all that. They really need like a critical mass of their defensive units, or you have to just be so good at repositioning, which is very tough. Now, some Vikings have been added in here to help push back those Vipers. A lot of ghosts here, for some snipes as well. Having a hard time actually getting those off. And some re-maneuvering from DRG. He's keeping that pressure on. DRG's still up at a ridiculous amount of workers here at 82.
You can really see that Terran is now pretty much contained. They've got these positions, some of them harder to break than others, but I don't see Terran growing. And now another huge attack in here. Baneling's coming down. Instead of going for the Marines, he gets that command center, takes that out, and the noose is tightening here for SpeCial. In fact, it's over. DRG gets the kill. And what you were talking about this before the game started, but sometimes DRG looks like the greatest ZVT player in late game.
Yeah, yeah. If he gets there correctly, he's pretty masterful at it. I think he moves his army really well and everything. The thing is, with SpeCial's opening, I don't mind fast third CC. It's like you're letting DRG get into that bigger game.
Yeah.
But, and even though it was like a high econ Hellbat push that he did, the Hellions weren't all that active. He didn't slow the creep all that much. He never had a moment where you see a lot of Terrans set up a moment where they're like, okay, we're going after the fourth base. This is, like, think of innovation, right? Like, there will always be a very strong push trying to kill the fourth, where maybe he'll trade well, maybe he won't, but, like, he's trying to figure something out right there. And we didn't really see that from SpeCial. He was just kind of harassing, kind of on the edges, never really hurt the economy of DRG. He was just trading everything for Ling Bane for the most part, but not super efficiently.
Yeah.
So when you put that all together, it gets into that late game, and SpeCial is not really ready for that. It's very hard to play that type of late game against Zerg. I think like Maru and TY do it, and who else?
Yeah, it is a thing where, I mean, we see Terrans do it, but basically just two. You're right.
Yeah.
And I was worried when we saw SpeCial grow into the lower left. It didn't seem like he actually had much of a handle on controlling it, and DRG just garbage compacted it, man.
2021.
It was rough.
GSL Season
Game 2 is
1.
loading up, guys. Let's go.
Team NV, DRG. Team Exxon, SpeCial.
So let's take a moment and kind of reflect on that last game. It did seem like SpeCial was doing fine. I mean, he didn't have any moments where we really thought, okay, he really threw that push away, or he really made a bad decision about where to attack. But basically, DRG just fights back really well. And then eventually, what looks like a game of Zerg defending the Terran's pushes becomes Terran getting pushed further and further into his starting position. And then in a couple smashing attacks, just bam, one planetary goes down, comes in with the Banelings, the Lurkers, everything else, into the lower one. You saw the Banes go towards the Marines, and then he says, no, get the planetary. And that was when a comeback was basically impossible for SpeCial. But when I look back at a game like that, it's kind of hard to say what exactly SpeCial did wrong.
Well, yeah, because he didn't look bad.
No.
He certainly didn't look bad. It's just, I think you have to have a very concrete plan on what you are going to do to Zerg, because if you allow Zerg to drone as they want and to maintain that economy with those drones, they get insane, especially with Banelings, right? Where it's like they can trade at a slight deficit for the rest of the game and kill you. And with SpeCial, I think a part of it was the Hellbat attack. It didn't really do much. Like, there were Banes waiting. Yeah. And the thing is, that can be a gamble, because if DRG does not have any Banes ready when you hit with that, oh my god, like, you're going to do quite a bit. You're going to get a lot of drones at his third and stuff, and from there, the game looks very, very different. But here, it was like the Banelings just came down. What did DRG lose? Like, some Lings, some Banes, a Queen, maybe? That's it. And then SpeCial was like, he wasn't denying creep. He didn't have a clear path of attack towards a fourth base, right? He wasn't really on siege shanks, he was more on mines, but he wasn't being super duper efficient. And that's just where it gets really tough, you know? If you're gonna play a game like that, you've gotta be on the level of a Maru or a TY.
Yeah, it's...
And not that he's far from that, but like, he is not that.
He's not that, you're right. I mean, a lot of times we see SpeCial hitting a lot of locations at once and really taxing the multitasking of the other player, but you're right, we don't tend to see SpeCial in games where the map's cut in half. There's like nukes landing everywhere. We have a couple crazy tech shifts, you know?
Yeah, Maru is like...
Maru is especially...
He'll expand as quickly as the Zerg and macro perfectly and be harassing everywhere, and then TY is like, his repositioning in those late games. He'll like... Wherever the Zerg goes, he's already there somehow. It doesn't even make sense. It's like he has creep in his base.
Yeah, it's weird when you watch Maru especially, because we'll see him like take a 7th base before the Zerg's taking a 6th, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, he just doesn't miss a beat in any part of the game.
A very different Terran. Now, this one, he's playing a much more active opener here. We have Hellions and we have Banshees with Cloak on the way. Already one Banshee out. And this is...
Okay, that's actually a lot of kills on SCVs.
3. But this is going to allow him to, like, do a bit more. He does not want to lose that. Oh, he loses the Reaper. But, you know, this is at least going to do things like slow the creep down.
Yeah, and that might allow for some kind of push to set up later. Oh, getting off the creep here for a second. Can the Hellions actually come around? No, they don't. They don't do it anyways. But there is a Banshee coming out here with Cloak on the way.
Yeah. He actually, I believe that's his... Is that his second Banshee? I believe that's his second Banshee.
Yeah, I think you're correct. Well, I mean,
so.
You almost never see Cloak in just one, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't see it, so maybe he just took a while, because normally 2 Banshees pop out in the time of Cloak, but...
Yeah.
Okay, anyways, he is making an armory right now, so it looks like it's going to turn into a Hellbat Banshee push, which definitely, I mean, again, it's another Hellbat play, and this time it's on 2 base, so that does make me a little bit nervous about it, because it's even more important than the last one to work.
Basically, what Artosis is saying is if this doesn't work, it's even worse, because you don't have a lot to lean back on. I mean, it can be good because it's also possible it can do more damage if it's pulled off correctly.
Yeah.
Generally, the earlier and more aggressive an attack is, in some senses, it's more likely to do damage because there's a chance the player isn't prepared. But if it's held off, this is why a lot of these all-ins we see that happen right away, if they backfire, the game just ends. Because there's not enough room inside the game as it propels forward to actually come together with something that can turn it around.
All right, 8 Marines, 8 Hellions, 2 Banshees. So those are going to turn into Hellbats now, and here we go. Let's see what he can get done. There are a couple spores. We see a good 6 Queens over in this area, 7 Queens, and I mean, they're Queens, right? So you can micro back against this.
Yeah, you can.
I don't think this is going to do it.
Yeah, well, he's driving this away. Oh God, there's even Link counter-attacking here. He doesn't have enough Lings to actually surround this, which, I mean, that's at least one relief here for SpeCial, but the truth is you need to do more damage with that attack.
Yeah,
it's just not good.
No, he didn't do all that much with it. He saved most of it, so that's definitely something to mention. He has some of them back in Hellion mode and everything, but yeah, it wasn't. I mean, when their macro unit, the Queen, just walks up and 7 of them kill your attack, it's like, we delayed our 3rd for that.
Yeah, I mean, modern StarCraft 2, you really need to, especially matchups like this, you need to have a 3rd base as Terran, unless, you know, what you're going to do is actually going to work so well. So,
well, okay, let's see what he's got, right? So he has his 3rd up now.
Yeah.
4th base coming for DRG. DRG, you know, SpeCial was a bit more active in the early game, so DRG's group spread doesn't look quite as scary as it did in the last game as of yet. The evolution chambers, yeah, they're not that far behind the 1-1, so there's not going to be a big window for SpeCial to do anything with those upgrades. But he is going Spire this game. SpeCial did mention to me before, he was like, mutas, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see what DRG gets done with those. DRG is quite good with the Mutalisks.
Yeah. that was one of his staple units, man. Was just having such good muta control and knowing how to engage with them, even if there were a lot of Widow Mines around. There's going to be another attack out here. This is, again, another push. There's enough medevacs here that you can pick up some of this army, but if you don't handle this correctly, you're just going to bleed off a lot, like we saw right there. You know, pretty
5 SCVs at the same time, too.
I mean, it's probably, we're past the point where this is a thing, but generally you want to have enough medevacs where you can pick up whatever's down there, because when you're fighting Banelings, and especially with units that are slow like Hellbats, granted, already after SpeCial lost that first attack, he's kind of in a bad spot trying to recover, but yeah, I mean, when the Banes connect with big targets like that, they're getting you tons of value.
Yeah.
Now we've got lots of Mutalisks out of the way, so this should be the beginning to the end of the Banshee harass. Another push comes in, but one has to imagine DRG should be ready. Hemorrhaging a couple Banes there, though.
All right, burrows a couple more mines, does have to pick up, and can't quite get in there. That pretty much marks the end of any real aggression that we're going to be able to see out of SpeCial for a bit. He does have his second factory on the way, and he's going to get into his macro phase now, right? Like, he's going to really, really macro up strongly, but he's also got to defend these mutas, and DRG, I think, can, you know, he's got his 4th base up, which is exactly what you want, and there's no way for it to be killed.
Yeah.
So this is a very solid position for him.
Okay, another great attack in there on the side with the refineries. DRG beginning to muster up a lot more Mutalisks, getting the air weapons, getting the Lings, and we're going to see DRG play like the old DRG.
Yeah.
It's going to be Ling Muta Bane, probably sitting on layer tech for a very long period of time. And there was a period where DRG really made a lot of Zergs question, okay, when do you actually need a hive?
Yeah.
If you can play this well enough and have good trades, and that basically means not losing mutas and then making sure your Banes connect, you come out so on top that the game kind of grinds to a halt for the Terran and they have to leave.
Well, I think that's probably what we're going to see him try here at least. Let's start that 2-2. Starting to take an engage in the center here, and I mean, he can easily take this. He's got more than enough.
Yeah, and the problem is, even if you pick up, I mean, after the medevac boost, the mutas can catch your medevacs here. In fact, they're targeting medevacs right now. Going to try to draw them into these Widow Mines. DRG pulls away immediately. Oh my god, his control is just so good. That should be it. Yep, there it is. GG, DRG takes game 2. And even more impressive than game 1. Although I do want to call into question the opening there from SpeCial.
Yeah.
It did seem like it was maybe, I mean, I certainly didn't expect to have a 2-base Hellbat push, and maybe DRG didn't either, but maybe there's a reason why we don't really expect that right now, because it's not as strong.
Well,
if it doesn't work, you've really lost momentum overall, and it's hard to recover, man.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's ever watched GSL knows my opinions on Hellbat openers. Like,
yeah.
You go Hellbat.
And if you don't, just look at any pro who's watching right now who's probably talking about how we talk about Hellbat openers. And
yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
But it continues to be shown every time we see a Hellbat opener that it doesn't do anything because there's a unit called the Queen.
Well, the Hellbat's actually not a great unit if you're ready for it. It is not a unit that you can, you know, there's some units in the game like Immortals, Mutalisks, where these units where you could really like bend the will of the universe with that. You know, like there's so much you can do with that.
Yeah.
The Hellbat's not one of them, and so once they're ready, they just out control you. There's not a lot of little tricks and techniques with a Hellbat. You're like, well, here's what you really do when the fight starts.
It's one of those yes/no units.
Yes, it's a yes/no unit. Well said.
And it's no is the answer at the pro level.
Yeah, it's actually a no/no unit. It's a
Yeah.
What is that thing? It's like, do you like, what should I buy, a PC or a console? It's like, do you like games? It's like, yes. It's like, you get a PC, no, and you get a console.
GSL
It's like, do you like winning
Season 1.
games? It's like, make a Hellbat, don't make a Hellbat. But yeah, we don't see it have a lot of success. I know if you are caught off guard and surprised by it, okay, then it's probably going to work. But it seems like there was something Noni said a long time ago. We were talking about StarCraft. And it was the idea, like, if your whole strategy is that your opponent just makes a mistake, then that you're probably playing the game wrong.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to just try to steal a win and you don't feel like you can play in a normal game, maybe that's a better route. But if you think you're better, don't bank on them just not having stuff. I mean, always poke in and check and make sure. But, like, this just seems to be a concept that's rooted in oh, they're going to have too many drones, and then I'm going to win the game.
So yeah.
And
Yeah.
And here's the thing. A lot of pushes have some of that idea there, but at least there's micro and control you can do with it. Like Marines stemmed with medevacs,
Sure.
2 of them. But when you have Hellbats and
Yeah, they don't.
and let me point something else out as well. There were Lings counterattacking the Wallen. There was a possibility that all the Lings surrounded that, and then everything was killed,
Yeah.
which would have been even worse.
It's possible. Well, the counterattack's even better.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's yeah. I hate Hellbat pushes. I wish Terrence would just stop doing them. Let's see what SpeCial has for us here.
It also seems like players that are not as confident tend to just switch into these Hellbat pushes. Like when you see a mismatch, we see
I
this
think
outside
you get a
Korea
lot
too.
of wins on ladder with Hellbat pushes, honestly.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking about this some last year because we were seeing so many Hellbat pushes that were failing, where I think it's one of these strategies, and I think there's several of these, where when you're not playing at 100%, like your opponent isn't playing at 100%, they work a lot more. But you got to take into consideration how focused someone is during a GSL match compared to practice games, because nobody practices at 100%. And well, not for very long, right? Like maybe a game or two, but it's like an impossible thing to do. If anyone could practice at 100%, like everything's on the line every single game, that would be the best player in the world.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be Sarah, wouldn't be Rainer, it'd be whoever is doing that. But it's like basically impossible to do. It's like just not how the human brain works. But you know, if you screw up against those Hellbat pushes, you will die. But a 100% dialed in pro gamer Zerg is like just gonna stop it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I do get it. I mean, there's other ideas like this. You know, we have some of these funny ZVZ all-ins that I almost think are better, but it's kind of the same idea.
No,
it's like
absolutely.
sometimes you just kill them, and that's a way to play, but probably not if you're going to win as consistently. Now, are we going to have Hellbats this time?
No. Different build here.
Because I haven't actually looked at this game. I've been looking at you this entire time, so totally different build here.
Yeah, no, it's a very different build. He's not utilizing the reactor for the factory. The factory, I'm not sure what he's going to do. Okay, yeah, it is going to be a BC opener here. So, I like it. Okay.
Well, I think this is a good switch. We'll see how DRG handles this. BCs were extremely popular
A few years ago.
Yeah, basically before coronavirus.
Yeah.
We were seeing BCs everywhere. They got figured out a little bit.
They did. They got figured out, and then about 4 or 5 months later, they got nerfed, which was pretty standard at the time.
Yeah.
Pros figure out a strat, and then
yeah, pros complained.
the lag
then
patch.
they figured it out, and then now it's a delayed patch. And
it's still good though. And honestly, I think SpeCial is one of the better BC versus Zerg players out there.
I agree.
Right?
I think
he had some amazing games against Serral in WCS finals with some BCs and stuff like that back then. And yeah, he's very good at these types of strats.
Yeah, it's I think when we saw BCs originally come out, people were caught off guard and wondering, okay, is this actually a thing? And damn, this thing can shoot and move. And actually, as you know, as we've said many times before as well, if you don't kill it, the Terran only got value. And to repair it and bring it back is very easy to do. So it was a pretty punishing thing for Zergs. But, you know, the whole art of being a good Zerg player is having the right balance of defense where you can keep your growth up while not losing your fights.
Yeah.
And we saw Zergs deal with it with battlecruisers.
You know, there's also something really funny about teching all the way to the final unit right at the opening as a harass unit.
Yeah.
And then just filling in.
You know what's funny? Remember the very early days, I don't even know if this was when the game was out, it was like in the beta, was people teching into Thors with medevacs.
Yeah.
It was this funny thing they did against Zerg. And the Thor was suddenly this weird harass unit where it really wasn't built with that intention.
Speaking of Gumiho, he's supposed to be getting out of the military pretty soon.
That's right.
I would be really pumped to have him in next season. I'm not sure exactly when he gets out, though. I think that's too quick for timeline. Well, the BC doing all right. I mean, he gets the Queen, he gets a couple drones, lost mining time, flying out of here with still very high health. Forcing more drones to run as well. DRG did drone really heavily very quickly. 66 drones right now. That is a full 3 base economy.
And behind this, you can push, like we're seeing right now. Some SCVs to repair and probably build bunkers as well are going to come up here. And the idea is while the Zerg is preoccupied trying to put out this fire, you're about to start another one.
Yeah, this push going up towards the third. So a very much more aggressive play here coming out of SpeCial. Overlord sees it on the way, so he's going to have to pull the trigger and really make a lot of Ling Bane. Baneling speed only about halfway done, so he's going to be in position before those Banes can really get on top of him. All right, here he goes. Siege is up a couple tanks. Lots of Marines here. SCV's going up for the repair. Absolutely love it. Super cool.
Yeah.
Baneling speed just not ready.
The positioning here is pretty good as long as he doesn't lose the battlecruiser.
Yeah. Well,
keep in mind, there's no medevacs here. So, like, this has to actually work.
Second BC warping in. Loving this build from SpeCial. Look at this. He's giving himself a real opportunity here to get something done.
Yeah. The SCV is here to repair underneath that. Queen's taking damage. Ling's going to try to come up. Again, the tank's doing the splash basically means that every time the Zerg attacks in and doesn't do damage and then has to leave, it's a pretty big punish. You're hemorrhaging Zerglings.
Well, the Baneling speed is done, Tasteless, so if he's going to break it, it's going to be very soon here. Still has some health to spare. The Queen's getting a lot of damage done, and it looks like he's getting ready to try to break this. Here we go.
He's going to commit. He's got the Queens targeting the battle cruisers. The Bane's coming down here to connect with the Marines. And I got to say, I can't believe it. He held it again.
Yeah, loses one of the BCs, the other one going to get away.
And again, really the hatchery needed to be killed there for it to be even like somewhat of a trade. The fact that he smashed that really is a huge loss for the Terran. And that is a patient Zerg, by the way.
Yeah, he was super patient.
Just taking advantage of how fatty the HP is on the hatchery, how much damage it can take and soak up before it's actually going to be destroyed. And he basically just took hit after hit after hit, and right before the breaking point, came in there, had everything targeted at the right thing. Beautiful play. And again, that's one of these alternative wonky pushes. I mean, although the strategy itself is different than game 1 and 2, some of the ideas are the same, where you want to get in at a weird moment with unusual units and try to surprise them. But the problem is, with all of these strategies, it can be difficult to recover if they don't do enough damage early on. Now, I will say this strategy is more recoverable because you have your starport out, you have tanks, you have a third.
Yeah.
But Zerg is looking pretty fearsome.
He is. He has a lot of drones right now. His creep spread's starting to look crazy as well. There is one really nice thing going for SpeCial. He has a big upgrade lead. His 1-1's about to finish, so he's going to have a big window of 1-1 against 0-0 and then 2-2 against 1-1. All right, so Baneling's trying to get in there to harass. He does dodge. Has a few units out on the map. Mutas are coming. And of course, we want to see SpeCial get that 2-2 started immediately. I feel like if he's going to win this game, a 2-2 timing push would be probably his best shot.
Okay, really good control. The Zerg just continuing to push the issue here. We're having a lot of growth down here with the creep, especially down at the bottom. Looks like Terran's trying to clean that up. But with the mutas out now, any movement with medevacs on the map is a bit of a risk, and we're seeing why. I mean, you could basically catch the medevacs, and even though, in theory, medevacs can boost away to get safe, the mutas will eventually catch them if they're not close to turrets or marines.
It's the BC actually getting a bit done here. Muta's coming back to fight it. Not sure if he jumped there or walked there.
Yeah, I think you should just leave. You're literally not going to kill any mutas here.
SpeCial now, trying to clear some of this creep. There is a lot to clear, though.
Yeah, and DRG punching back, but decides when he sees a siege tank, he needs to regroup and be more prepared here.
All right, Ling Bane Muta coming in on top of it all once again. On one of the tanks unsieged, so it doesn't get that extra splash damage. Oh, cleans it all right, though. Cleans it all right with the Lings and Banes. Keeps a good amount of Marines left.
All right, another push comes out. And I mean, I do feel like as time passes, DRG going to get closer and closer to an actual hatchery, but there's enough creep here that Zerg can kind of move in, move back out, regroup over here. Terran's actually going to knock down these rocks just to open up more circulation for his army to move, depending on where he wants to push. Muta's going to come in here now for counterattacks, and not all these locations are safe. There's only actually one turret over here by this orbital. I'm surprised Well, I guess DRG might want to tear this down so Lynx can come in here later. That's also a great idea.
Yeah.
Let me correct myself mid-cast there. I actually like that idea even more.
No, you were right, Tasteless.
Sorry, I did it again. Damn it, guys. Damn it. I just want you guys to like me.
It's kind of interesting watching what SpeCial's making right now. Wow, these mutas are actually going to be so annoying for him. Oh my god.
Well, SpeCial wasn't actually prepped for the mutas to attack into the...
yeah.
I mean, this is one of the reasons why SpeCial's push was looking pretty strong, though, is he didn't have real anti-air defense here. Not for a glob of mutas this big.
It is quite a glob. SpeCial has a lot of Marines, but he doesn't have anything to really deal with Banelings except Micro. He's got like 2 tanks. You know, normally when you're doing like a 2-2 timing push, you have a lot of tanks mixed in there, but it's going to be hard because here comes a gigantic wave of Banelings. Oh my god.
Man! There's even more!
Like...
That's what we call it. That's oodles of Banelings.
Tasteless. What game is this that we're casting?
Baneling Ball. Baneling Bowling
it's not
is what
StarCraft
this is.
2. I think it might be They Are Billions. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Because that's how many Banelings were right there.
Yeah.
That was insanity. And now SpeCial has lost his entire army. He's on a 43 supply as far as the army goes. He does have his 2-2, but he didn't really have the anti-Baneling he needed for that, unfortunately. And
GG.
yeah,
SpeCial taps out.
Man, a rough series for SpeCial, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's too bad. But I think really, it's not a story of SpeCial playing poorly as much as it is DRG looking so good. As a caster, there are times when he looks so good, I have almost a difficult time trying to measure where he is compared to the best players because he looks perfect.
Yeah,
you know?
there's certain things about his Zerg versus Terran that look really, really phenomenal.
Yeah.
But he does have definitely some holes, like his Zerg versus Zerg is probably the weakest amongst the Korean pro Zergs.
Yeah, he's a bit lopsided with that, isn't he?
He
can
is
fight
lopsided.
Protosses, he smashes Terrans, but then there happen to be a lot of other good Zergs in this game, so that's...
He's got like one really jacked arm, so he's super good at arm wrestling.
Yeah.
But all the other Zergs can beat him in a race.
Yeah. Can't win the gaming triathlon.
No, he can't quite do it yet.
We're going to have an interview now and see how DRG is doing and how he feels now that he's managed to qualify for the round of 16 in the GSL Code S. And I think we're going to be going to that in a second if we're ready. It'll be translated by the great Andy. Good to have you back, Andy. All right, go ahead.
DRG of Team Envy defeats SpeCial, and he moves on to the round of 16 of Code S. Congratulations. Thank you. Well, this year, you're going to have a good start to this year, DRG. Well, I didn't know this was my third consecutive round of 16. Well, it feels good. Well, since last year, you've been showing really impressive ZVT matches. So, do you think the ZVT is the easiest for you? Well, I've been practicing Protoss matchups a lot, but you know, right now Protoss is really hard to play against, and my Terran matchup is way better than the Protoss matchup. So why does the ZVP matchup become so difficult for you? Well, as for the ZVT matchup, no, I just have to make the right decisions in the game, and I just gotta make enough armies to win the game. But as for the ZVP matchup, I just couldn't grasp the concept of the matchup. Well, last year, DRG, you were kind of like the pioneer when it comes to cementing new Zerg concepts. So, what about this year? Well, recently I think I've been kind of behind in terms of Zerg concepts. So I've been following a lot of the foreign Zerg players, and I'm always trying to make myself a better player. Well, today's match was definitely an immaculate win for you, DRG. You were able to fend off SpeCial's surprise attack so easily. So how were you able to stall out the game in the last set? Well, I made some mistakes, but you know, I was not left in a favorable situation. So you know, SpeCial definitely could have beat me, but you know, I think I was the lucky one in the end. Well, last year, DRG, you showed great performance and you had a very successful year. So this year, what is your objective for this year?
제대 후에 계속 GSL 도전하고 있는데
Well, after finishing my military service, I've always been trying for GSL.
그래도 작년보단 나은 한 해가 되려고.
But I hope to have a year that is better than last year.
이게 이런 노력들이 언젠가 결실을.
And also, I think my efforts will bear fruit in the end. Okay, DRG, before you got anything you want to say?
도와준 성주 재선이.
I want to thank Maru, Bunny, Time, and everyone else for helping me with the scrims.
새로운 팀 들어와서.
And also, I entered a new team, Team MV, and I was given an environment where I could focus on my games. So I'm really grateful. And please, I hope my fans can look forward to my plays. Once again, congratulations. Thank you.
네, 이상 박수호 선수 만나봤고요. 계속해서 오늘의 두
All right,
번째
thank you,
경기,
Annie. Exciting to have DRG
김도욱
advancing here. I feel bad for SpeCial. Excited to see him
돌아오겠습니다.
play some more games, but it was a 3-0. Guys, up next, TVT Cure versus ByuN. You don't want to miss it. We're going to have a short commercial break, and we come back for StarCraft 2 in the GSL Code A.